The two sisters took over the restaurant and store in the early 1970s. At the time, you could order a ham sandwich for $1 and change, Ozella Finlay, the older sibling, recalled. Most of the people who passed through the restaurant, Pat's Luncheonette, at Utica Avenue and Dean Street in Brooklyn, worked nearby. Ms. Finlay and her sister, Ernestine Montgomery, managed everything from cooking and serving to stocking shelves. Working 7 days a week, they opened at 7 a.m., in time for customers to pick up the morning newspaper, and closed at 10 p.m., serving short orders all day and selling household supplies to local residents. It was mostly my idea, Ms. Finlay said of buying the business in the Weeksville neighborhood with her sister, 2 years her junior. But we always compromised and shared the responsibility. The sisters got out of the business after 8 years, and Ms. Finlay has not returned to the block since. Many of the homes once surrounding the area have been torn down, and she prefers remembering the luncheonette as it looked then. I wouldn't know the place now, she said. At 97, Ms. Finlay describes memories in staccato, telling a parsed story in clipped sentences. Sitting cross-legged at a table in her living room this fall, with a green cane hooked on her chair, she did not wax sentimental about the past. At 11, she was orphaned during the Great Depression after her family fell ill with typhoid fever. A younger sister also died, and Ms. Finlay and Ms. Montgomery, the only survivors, were separated and raised by aunts in their hometown, Pittsburgh, Texas. After high school, Ms. Finlay moved to St. Louis and in 1941 began a correspondence with her future husband, Augustine Finlay, who was in the Navy. They stayed in touch through letters during World War II while Mr. Finlay, of the Bronx, was deployed at Guantanamo Bay, a naval base then used for postal operations and anti-submarine warfare training. They met in person when she came to New York in 1947, and they married 2 years later, settling in Brooklyn. A newly divorced Ms. Montgomery followed her sister to New York in 1952, bringing along her daughter. Ms. Finlay worked at a manufacturing company for 2 decades, a job that outlasted her marriage. The couple divorced in 1961. She took a job as a companion to the elderly for a couple of years, but when a friend asked if she wanted to run the restaurant, the opportunity piqued her interest. The sisters, then in their 50s, bought the luncheonette and ran it for the better part of a decade. Ms. Finlay said they closed after crime rose in the neighborhood and we were afraid to be in the business alone. The space is now Dean Street Cafe, a kosher coffee shop that roasts beans in-house and serves $3 espresso shots and artisanal sandwiches starting at $6. The owner, Zalmi Makan, opened the shop in January. The diner in the 1950s, 60s and 70s was the backbone of America's food culture. I'm trying to bring back the history of the place, Mr. Makan, 27, said. We want to contribute to what's here. After the restaurant closed, Ms.